Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Ferreira. I am the host and owner of Gem and Me. I want to take the time today to introduce myself. Who am I? I'm a young, proud, first-generation Latina, born and raised in Washington Heights. I have excelled in my life with adversity, hope, belief, motivation, and most importantly, the power in me. And I believe everybody has their own power inside themselves. And I want to share this platform with you to be able to explore and dig very deep inside of you to find the blessings, the gifts that you were given to become the best version of yourself. So thank you so much for joining today to the Gem and Me podcast. I hope to give you blessings, aha moments, many gifts really that you have within yourself to be able to unfold and find those within you. Thank you for listening today and welcome to Gem to Me. The power is within you. Hello everyone, Gem and Me here. Today we have an amazing guest, Dr. Anitza San Miguel. Wow, oh my God, it's crazy how we met. I feel like we met through email, and it was like magic from there, and then we met on the phone, and it was like amazing. But she's a certified coach, a scientist, a wife, a mother, a God-fearing woman. Her purpose in life is coaching female leaders towards discovering, developing, and maximizing their true potential. As women, we sometimes break everything but the glass in our pursuit to do and be it at all raising, right? A family, meeting demands of life. And the answer isn't to try to balance everything. So I feel like her purpose she has projected is to make an impact in women's life and make sure that they maximize their potential and become the best version of themselves. Thank you so much, Dr. for Anitza San Miguel, for being here. It's an honor to have you. And truly, I feel like everything happens for a reason. So it's so great that we met and there's so much magic to be seen here. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I'm super excited to be here to share this space and actually the connection, the magics that occurred.
Yes.
Because you're right. We met through email, right?
Yeah.
We do have a person in common who connected us through email, but once we spoke, then the rest is history because that's now we're here recording this podcast.
Exactly. I feel like everything happens for a reason. Like I reached out to you because of the magics, and then you said yes, and we met through Zoom, I think it was, and then it's like an instant connection, right? Like through email, obviously you probably don't get that connection and that spark. But I felt like since we spoke, we're like, oh my God, like you're so amazing. What do you do? And then we started talking from there. I was like, no, like we have to bring you on the podcast because I feel like we have the same purpose and drive to like make an impact in others, and you are doing that yourself right now. So I always start speakers with asking our speakers to tell us a little bit about their upbringings, right? La crianza, and you can say in Spanish or English, doesn't matter, we have both you know audience here, but like how was your upbringing and how that make an impact in the person you are today?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I have to
Yes.
say, I had to say, but I was born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico. That's mi isla. That's where la isla que me vio
Isla
nacer.
del
Oh,
Encanto. Yes.
La del Encanto. That's where my first steps. Right. That's where I grew up. I started developing myself. Right. As a leader. Of course, I know that now. Right. A few years later, I'm not gonna say, right, I'll let you all figure out the age. But when I look back, that's where I started, right? By developing myself. I grew up in a family, right? My mom, my dad, and my brother, who's older than I am. A Christian family, attending church. My uncle is a pastor, Methodist pastor, now retired. So I grew grew up at church, went to a Christian private school in Puerto Rico. So, was surrounded by that, which is, it was amazing. And a family where my mom, right, it's one of seven. So you can imagine all the tias, and then
Yes,
when tias and
cousins.
tios, actually there's like seven, there are a total of seven, including my mom. One of my aunts already passed away, but there's seven in total, six women and one man. So,
Oh,
you
wow.
can't imagine. And then all of them married with kids. And, it was fun, right? Just growing up with my cousins, all together, Casa de la Abuela, Sundays, right? You got to visit Abuela. The Christmas time, all of us getting together. So it was like, when we got together, it was us. Because the family was pretty big. So and through that, right, growing up in church, I remember being part of the teachers, right, for BBK, for example, or Sunday school, and just little things like that. That now, when I had, years later, and with the level of awareness that I have now, I'm like, wow, we're starting to develop as a leader, at a very young age. But granted, back then, I was just going, I guess, through the motion, through life, whatever you want to call it. So once, as I grew up there, I went to the University of Puerto Rico to do my bachelor's degree in biology. And I always remember, I always, try to share this part of the story where at that time, I wanted to be a doctor, medical doctor. I wanted to go into medicine. That's what I wanted. And back then, I don't think we do this right now that much, but it was doing pre-med. So I said, oh, I'll do 3 years of pre-med. And then from there, I'll go to medical school, and I've sorted out my life. However, I do remember my high school counselor saying, Anitza, you need to do a bachelor's degree. And of course, I'm like, why? I didn't do 3 years, go, move, boom, follow the cycle. And what she said, no, you do need a bachelor's degree, because if anything happens, she said, God forbid anything happens to your family or so, or even you, as you move along, you will have a degree with you. You will have 4 years, you'll have a bachelor's degree that you can move, start from there. And I follow her advice. From there, I did my bachelor's degree, went to University of Puerto Rico. I started doing research there as well. One of my first mentors, and again, I'm going to be probably mentioning this a little bit. Back then, I didn't know this was my mentor. Right? For me, it was my science professor, my biology professor. He saw in me something perhaps that I didn't see. So he recommended me to I do some research. I started doing some research in the developmental biology lab as undergrad research. That was an experience. I just being there. What's interesting, I always like to share this, is that it's a developmental biology lab. And we were working, the organism we work with was salamanders. Not Notophthalmus viridensis. Don't worry, I'm not going to get into the science of it. But we were looking at lens regeneration. So in 35, if you remove the lens from a salamander, in 35 days from their iris, they develop a new lens. So think about it. Fast forward now, I'm doing that. I am helping people to develop, and that's part of what I do, help leaders discover, develop, and maximize their potential, right? And it's very interesting how, when you get this level of awareness, you start connecting the dots.
Yes.
Right? As to this experience leads to this experience. And back then for me, hey, I'm working in a lab. Right? I wasn't thinking of anything else. So then there came the opportunity to do what was supposed to be a 1-year internship at the National Institute of Health. And I told my parents, 1 year, that's it. I'll come back, continue my studies. Eso no fue así. That's been almost 25 years since I moved from what was supposed to be a 1-year internship. I'm here right? It has been almost 25 years since I left the island to pursue that, right? To pursue that internship, which led to other opportunities
Yeah.
as I moved on. Once I moved to Maryland, I did my master's degree in biotechnology. Again, key individuals, people, mentors. Still back then, I didn't know they were my mentors. Helped me and guided me in that process. And then I decided to fuse science and education. And that's where I got my doctorate degree in higher education administration.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's
What
a
a
snapshot.
journey. What a journey. I mean, that's amazing. I feel like education is always like for me personally also like a fuel that kept me, disciplined and inspired. So I feel like that was for you too. And like you said, everything kind of happened for you for a reason, right? You started in the lab and now you're kind of doing that to some aspect, right, with people. And it's funny to like connect the dots, like you said, like, oh, like I was preparing for this moment, right?
Yeah.
In other ways, of course. But yeah, I feel like I said, our childhood really marks like the person that we become. And so that's why I always ask, folks to kind of tell us, what is it that you went through and things that you felt like marked to the person that you are, and I could see that as like a very happy, abundant, amazing, and very inspired person. So your parents did a good
Thank you.
job.
Yeah. Thank
Um,
you.
I also wanted to kind of touch before I, ask you more deep, I would say complex questions about like your projects and what you do now. Something very personal I also ask folks is if you can go back and ask, and tell something to your younger self, what would you say?
Oh, that's a great question. And a question I've asked myself, actually, I had one of my mentors last year ask me that question. Talk to your younger self. What would you tell her? And my response would be right to tell, telling her that everything will work out. That no matter just to keep working, pursuing her dream, that no matter what happens, everything is possible. You just got to trust, believe, and take action through
Yeah.
that. Which that's my motto of, everything is possible if you trust, believe, and take action. And that's what I will tell, that my younger self. Everything will be okay. Everything will work out. You just have to trust in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. You got to also trust and believe in God's source, whatever is it that you believe, that fountain that for me is God as a believer. But at the same time, those two things, right? I can trust all I want, I can believe all I want, but if I don't do the action, if I don't take that action step,
Yes.
then I'm just gonna stay there. So yep, that's what
That's a
I
good,
tell my younger self.
good advice that you would tell her. And I feel like to some extent, she knew that, right? She knew that it deep inside, even though obviously, I feel like if we can go back, we'd probably do so much more, right? But she kind of knew that. She kind of knew that she was unstoppable, that she could do so much, and that's why you're here. So thank you for sharing that. And so let's kind of segue into like your journey and um what has been a transformational moment in your life that you say, okay, like this was a moment in my life that I felt like changed me or really pivot to like now or like a better version of yourself? Because we are, I would say, shaped, right? Like a gem, right, is under
Mhm.
pressure, and that's where it becomes, more vibrant and more shiny. So adversity is what, makes us shine and grow. So a transformational moment in your life.
Yes, and I remember that moment. This was back, I would say, actually, it was right in the pandemic, 2020. Not 100% sure exactly around what point, but it was early on in 2020. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. In 2019, for my birthday, a friend gifted me a journal, a notebook, and I've always been fascinated by notebooks, but they sat, ay, qué linda, nice. And maybe I wrote a little bit and they went on a shelf. But there was something special about that particular journal she gifted me. And at that time, had started practicing gratitude. So I was more intentional, right? In that sense, I had also started my intentional growth journey, where at that time, 2019, I wanted more, right? I had some skills. I wanted to pursue a higher level position within academia. And so I said, hey, if I do all these things, if I get these certifications, right? If I certify myself as a coach, speaker, trainer, and in this particular case, through the Maxwell leadership, hey, this could help me improve certain areas and position myself better. So that's kind of where I started. That for me was a moment, right? To when I remember I went to my first Maxwell Leadership conference, that was like, poof, wow, all these like-minded people and personal growth and development and all these different things. And then I came home and that they were talking about the 15 laws of growth book. And I'm like, hi, I've seen that book. I had it in my bookshelf for years.
Wow.
Right. It was there. And I
Yeah.
had not read the book, maybe the first chapter or so. When you leave a book for a long time in the shelf, it has that pages kind of changes color, especially the paperback. So
Yeah.
I knew it. So it's there. So that was one, that started. That was kind of that spark of that moment. And then in 2020, I read the book. First, I listened to an interview with Paula Ferris. Paula Ferris was the TV host for Good Morning America, if I recall correctly, Weekend Edition, and The View for a year or so. And I'd listened to her interview and then bought her book called Called Out. And in that book, she talks about how she basically changed, right? Traded her career for her calling, right? How she moved there. And as I tend to be a little bit of a slow reader,
Mhm.
but I read that book very quickly, right? I read it quickly. And one of the questions that she asked in the book was that for me was very important. And the question I asked myself after reading the book was, if I leave my job today, who am I?
Mm.
And that was, I
Wow.
have to say, the pivotal moment, right? I had some moments, right, from 2019 that were building to where I then pivot and say, wait, espérate,
Yeah.
right? Who am I? I'm not defined by my job. I'm not, when I walk into a room, into a conference, into a meeting, right? I'm more than a dean. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I do coaching. I mentor. So even though, right, I was mentoring and coaching early on in my career, especially since I started in higher education, talking to students when I was a professor of biology, right? I was mentoring them indirectly. My dissertation, I mean, this is what it's cool, I would say. My dissertation is about Latinas, the lived mentoring experiences of Latinas, scientists, and engineers.
Wow.
I did that dissertation. It's been 10 plus years since I graduated. I didn't know what I was doing right now.
Wow. Yeah.
And that even 10, 15 years before, I was already in that realm, learning more about mentoring and indirectly about coaching. I didn't know much about coaching back then, but when now I look back and reflect, I like I said earlier, those moments in time prepared me
Yes.
to what I'm doing now. So that was a very key question for me. If I leave my job today, who am I?
Mm.
That was the pivotal question that
Wow.
then I started more, and I had this urge, this desire to learn more, to see and say, wait, I can do so many other things. I could do more. I can be of a more impact, a higher impact to other people throughout. And that's where then I was being intentional back then, but now it's like very intentional.
Oh, wow. I feel like that's an amazing question to ask to yourself. And it kind of gave me goosebumps because, I've been also very, I would say, invested, right, in my education, in my roles, and growing up and having those titles, right? And that kind of does become your identity, right? Like, you go in and you're like, oh, I'm, the title, I'm a director of such and such, or have a master's in such and such, and whatever. And so I recently actually could relate, because I lost my job and for, I think a couple months ago, 3 months ago. And so when that happened, obviously I was devastated. But then now that you're like kind of bringing that question up, I'm like, yeah, like I'm not, a job title, I'm not my, education. Of course, yeah, that helps and give you the skill sets and the background that you need, but it's not who you are. You're more than that.
Yes. And that's what I said, right? I'm
Mhm.
more than this. And,
Mhm.
we think about leaders that you need a title.
Yes.
And granted, I have them, you have them, and those
Yes.
individuals who are listening, they also have that. I'm not saying not, yeah, it's not wrong to have it,
Right.
but what I'm trying to say is that to be a leader, an effective leader, you
Mm.
don't need a title.
Right.
Yes, it might help you with it, but overall, right, you're a leader in your community, you're a leader at church, you're a leader at your home,
Yeah.
right? All these different things, but society, life, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
pone el sello
Yes.
de of, oh, you got to be this, and that's the standard, and that your world revolves about your job, and
Yes.
you breathe and live all that. I'm not saying it's wrong, right? But for me, I knew, I deep in my heart, and even years later, even, I mean, years before, even before that pivotal moment, I always had this desire that I wanted something more, that there was
Mm.
something. I would go to conferences and or different speaking great good trainings that I would go, and I said I felt like I was, the analogy I told actually my coach was like, I felt like a bird inside a cage that is
Mm.
trying to fly.
Wow.
it,
Wow.
it, it, it was so it was so real. I can remember specifically one conference I attended, and as I listened to the speakers and the presentations, I'm like, era como, I
You
felt
needed
like
air.
my air, like I needed
Yes.
air.
Oh my
So
God.
granted, I didn't know back then
Yeah.
what it was. Now I know what it is, right?
Wow.
And it was that
That's
desire.
magical. That's magical, that
So,
that desire to do more and to make a greater impact. Um, I'm so blessed that you were able to find that and execute it, and you're doing it. You're making it happen.
yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like 2020 was I guess a blessing and a curse for
Mhm.
everybody. Obviously, there were pivotal moments for everybody. People lost, family members and friends, but we also gained a lot. We gained
Mhm.
wisdom and clarity and yeah, and people too, right? Like people kind of came together to support each other and stuff. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know that you, like you say, you are a coach and you guide folks and you mentor. What would you say is like the formula, right? The formula of transformation.
Oh, uy.
Like if you
See,
could do a quick
I,
toolkit, like
I,
you need
I
this
could
and you need
do
that.
units, yeah, because I can think of so many
Yes.
things, and I, it's interesting you mentioned that because this earlier this week I did a post, just being grateful for a magical moment that happened on this past Saturday, and for me it was where you have dedication, persistence, that trust, that belief, like all of these things came together in one place, right? And out, right, that formula for me, you gotta first of all have the desire,
Mm,
right? You gotta have a burning desire within you. And someone recently asked me, I said, what's your vision? I that vision, what that you have for you, for your life, it's it's gonna come to fruition. It's gonna happen. You also have to work it out. Right? You have to do the work,
Yeah,
and
a lot of work.
you have to live the process. And this person asked me, well, what about it if it doesn't happen? And it
Oh,
struck me. And I
mhm,
said, and granted, this came from a person who I realized is a close, family, immediate family, grew up in church and all that. So it kind of shocked me,
mhm,
the response. And I said, it's going to be there,
mm,
right? That vision you have, but you also have to work it out, right? So I would say have that desire, that burning desire, create the vision. Sometimes you ask individual, what do you want? I know, say, I
mhm,
don't know. Well, create what is it that you want for your life, not what mom, dad wants, not what your partner, your husband, your family member. No, what do you want for your life so that you can create it? But to create the life that you want, you got to start equipping yourself. Right? You got to start also investing in you. Right?
mm,
So that's part of that formula is investing in you. And by investing in you is, hey, listen to the podcast,
yeah,
right? There's so many podcasts out there for personal growth, development. If you're in finance, you name it, there's a podcast out there. There's books, right? There's free webinars going on, workshops out there, maybe some for minimal fees, others for higher fees. It's an investment
yeah,
as well. Find a coach, hire a mentor. All of that, because sometimes we think we can do it ourselves. Yes, I could have done a lot of things by myself, but if it wasn't because of the guidance
mm,
of my mentors and coaches, right? My mentors who guided me through the process, who helped me, but also of coaches who asked me those difficult questions.
mm,
I remember a time one of my coaches last year, she asked one question, and this was regarded about my entrepreneurial journey, the business as I started, and I started it crying.
mhm,
And that was another pivotal moment, I don't of saying of change. So the formula, I would say it depends also on the individuals, because
right,
that was my formula. That's what Anitza did
mhm,
to get into that transformation. But maybe for you, Catherine, it might be a similar mix, but maybe with some other ingredients
right,
as well.
yeah,
So I would say maybe let's change it. Instead of that formula, maybe what's in your toolkit,
right,
right? What is in that transformational kit that you say, I'm gonna take, I'm gonna prepare myself. Oh, how I'm gonna prepare? Why? I gotta prepare because I gotta invest in me. I
mhm,
gotta do this investment. But you know what? I gotta be persistent. So
mm,
I'm gonna take a little bit of persistent here, and hey, it might be a lot of persistent,
yeah,
right? That you might need. It may be as well. Hey, let me touch base, and also who's your inner circle as well,
so
right?
important.
Have that. That's very important. If you have people around you that are constant, that are not lifting you up, that
Mm,
are, one of my mentors said, hey, there's dream vampires out there,
mm,
right? That you go, hey, look what happened. I have this great idea. They're like, why? What are you gonna do that?
mhm,
¿Con qué lo vas a hacer? ¿Tú estás segura?
yeah,
And then you go like, poof,
yeah,
right? Down. So who's your inner circle? Who's those close individuals who are gonna say, go for it. I know you can do it. How can I help you?
mm,
Right? Or they're gonna connect you with someone else. Right. And something, and for us, right? How did we meet?
yes,
We met by one person
mhm, yeah,
who connected us, right? And that way I've met other individuals as well. I was part of the Magics, Today's Inspired Latina Volume 10. That was all what, one person who said, you gotta meet this other person. She has this whole books and things. So she connected us. She's like, you need to meet her. You need to meet her. Bye. See ya. You figure it out. Right.
yes,
So
exactly,
we talked, and then she's like, oh, now you gotta talk to this other person. Right. So it's that connection,
Yeah,
there
the connection.
as well. So, those for me, and I would say one key ingredient, Catherine, is commitment.
Mm-hmm.
You got to commit to yourself, because we commit to so many other things. We
We
commit
do.
so much to our friends, to our family, to our jobs, and we forget the most important person. That's us. That's you. So
Yeah.
commitment is another ingredient as
That
well.
is that is huge. Thank you for bringing that up. I feel like that's the most important one, because I feel like a lot of people, obviously we try to, I would say, juggle so much, right? Juggle our jobs, our careers, our business, and family, and everybody else, and then like you said, we forget the most important person, which is us. And if we're not okay, then the rest is not okay.
Correct.
The rest,
Yeah.
okay. So it's so important. I know you have a line of journals and cards, called Navegando al Éxito, right?
It's called Navegador. It's a
Naveg-
journal.
uh-huh.
Navegador, the best guide to using your journal and manifesting your purpose in life.
So
So,
go ahead. You can tell us what was the purpose behind that and how did that kind of manifest into what it is.
oof. How long do we have for the podcast? That's a
In
whole.
in a brief summary.
And yes, I'm gonna give you the cliff notes, right?
Yes, please.
There. So Navegador initially, right? It started. This was all last. No, actually, there earlier this year. So it was like, wow, it's already September. But
Yes.
remember earlier I mentioned that I started my friend gifted me in 2019 a journal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I started to intentionally start writing in my journal. And I started seeing the benefits. Like once I created that habit, that took, did take more than 28 days. It just habits to create a habit. An average we say is 28 day. I also like to say that it depends on the individual. Some might be more, so it might be 6 months. But for me, it took a little bit of time to develop that habit of writing in my journal, being intentional. And as I learned that, I put in my visions, my goals, my prayers, my gratitude, everything went in my journal there. And as I started, I created a workshop. It started in English called reflective journaling. That was the name of the workshop. I started in English, and I kind of started developing that and the theme. And even though I did other workshops, journaling for me was that foundation. Was
Mm-hmm.
the foundation to start writing how you feel, your gratitudes, your prayers, your goals, but most importantly, to go back and read your journal entries,
Mm,
because the answers sometimes are there. You're like, wait, and that has happened to me. So earlier this year, I did the training, but in Spanish.
mm,
And we had a common friend who did the workshop with me, and she liked it. I had a PDF file, workbook on a PDF, and she's like, Anitza, I can make, can make you PDFable. I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. And I kind of dismissed it, and then I reached out, and I'm like, I don't want to do, like pay this for a PDF file, and what again, those limiting beliefs that start
yeah.
building in, and we sometimes auto sabotage ourselves. And then finally happened that I had an event that I was invited, and I had no materials, like no cards, no
Mm,
nothing. And we reconnected, and she kept saying, Anissa, we can take that workbook, and we can make a beautiful journal out of it. And her words resonated with me so much that I said, let's do it. Because I will make something. And through my devotional time, to my own journaling time, the words that always came was clarity,
mm,
direction, navigation, following that light throughout. And when the time and she's like, Anitza, what's the title? I'm like, great. I
Yes,
don't know.
the most important.
The most important thing I share, I told her, like, look, all I know is that I want something that aligns with navigation. Because, and then I tell her, these are the words that come every time. I've been doing the last few weeks, I've been doing my journaling, my devotionals. These are the words that come up. And she was like, yep, okay, I got it. I'll put something out, have my divine download.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, we got Navegador.
Yeah.
And the first time this was in March. Yes, it was a very quick turnaround. March was in Spanish. And just early this week, I got the English edition.
Yay!
Of
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm super excited because, with Navegador, I share, to have my acknowledgements, and I provide how to use the journal. It's simple, right? It has it in,
As prompt.
shows, right? And then immediately we jump in, right? And the pages, and throughout the journal, I share 5 strategies. Those are throughout the journal with some questions to spark that thinking, that reflection. And then along those same lines, as part of the workshop, I had like a 30-day challenge of journaling, because people will say, like, what do I write about? How do I start? Right. So I created that. And she's like, yep, we can take you a beautiful deck of cards. So we have the deck of cards.
So those are used for the challenge?
Yes, so these were used for the challenge. And these are 25 questions that I ask myself, or that my mentors and coaches ask me about. So what's my purpose? What is the vision I have for my life? What have I learned today? And what is my top priority? And so on and so forth. So this manifested, right? I never thought that it will be manifested this way, because earlier late last year, I told myself, oh, Anitza, you write so much in journals, you get so many notebooks, why don't you put something together? And I started that research, like looking and quotes here, but nothing really sparked. So I said, yeah, this is not the right time.
Yeah.
And I put it, like I said, in la gaveta, right? I shuffle it. We all have a drawer where we put our knickknacks. Oh, just in case, let me put it there. So I put it in my just in case drawer. And next thing I know, it just manifested as Navegador.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Congratulations. I really feel like it's funny, because I created like a gem keeper, which is a journal too. And it's in the draft phase right now, in la gaveta right now.
We gotta take it out of the gaveta, sacarle el polvo.
Yes, because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of, dedication and detail, and because I was creating it on my own, and so it takes a lot of time, but coming soon.
Coming soon. You heard it. Coming soon.
Yes, coming soon. I feel like you are so full of like surprises and your mentorship. Is there any advice that you would give us, like, as a mentor, to like kind of spark that initiation of like growth and transformation? Just a little speech. I know you have a lot to say, but just a little speech before we kind of start closing.
I'll try to summarize. I would say, first of all, is we all have a dream. We all have, and that dream looks different for everyone. And sometimes it looks very far, right? There are times that dream looks like you will never reach it. But I would, and today I tell you, yes, you can do it. Everything is possible, right? Everything is possible. It's written in, as a woman of faith, it's in the scriptures, todo es posible. I can do all things in Christ who gives me strength. It's in multiple ways, right? In different areas, you'll find it. So that's why when I created the trust, initially was trust, believe, and take action. Those were, that was part of my initial, how I started. But then I realized that my favorite Bible verse is, I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. Todo lo puedo en Cristo que me fortalece. Bingo! Todo es posible. Everything is possible if you trust, believe, and take action. So no matter the dream, no matter, you know, what that goal is that you have, you can achieve it. However, you gotta do the work.
Yes.
Right? You gotta invest in you. You gotta do the work, take the action. It's not gonna fall from the sky. You're not gonna hit this like, oh, hey, maybe you do, but it's not gonna, you gotta do the work. You gotta do you gotta go through the process. Right? You cannot borrow here, borrow there, and hey, no, it's your process. And sometimes life circumstances, we face a lot of challenges. We navigate. Navegamos, right? We're navigating through life. That's what we're doing. Yeah. We're navigating through life. There's going to be hurricanes. There's going to be winds. There's going to be la marea está alta, whatever it is. But what's happening is when you're navigating, you have that compass. You have that compass that's going to take you, have you that direction. And no matter what's going on, you still focus on that. Your goal is going to be there. Your dream, you might have to do a detour. You might have to stop. But you know what? Keep up. Levántate, sacúdete las rodillas, and keep on going. Right? Yes. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to tell you, mira, va a ser fácil, chévere. No. It's not going to be like that. Trust me. And you might say, ay, Anitza, why are you saying? No, because it's a reality. I've gone through it. It's been, I was doing some writing earlier this morning, and I said, you know what? It looked great. It's all these different success is there, but behind that success, there were tears. There were moments where I said, whatever, I'm not doing this anymore. There was days that I, cried and say, when is it gonna stop? When are you gonna give me a breakthrough? Right? That I questioned, that I doubted myself. But it was the persistence. And that's what I want to tell. Right? That is what I'm telling you who are listening, is keep on moving, take the action step. And also find individuals, find that círculo íntimo, those close individuals. Who is that? Who is in your board? Right? We hear about board members and all these different committees. Who's your inner, that committee? Those people that are going to support you. And just keep going, work through it. Because at the end, vas a tener la recompensa.
Yay! Thank you so much. That was amazing. I feel so inspired now. I want to go and journal and plan, because I feel like we have so many goals, right? Things that we want to achieve. But then, like you said, life happens, right? And we get these challenges, we get distracted. But at the end, the goal is still there to be obtained, to be exercised every day, little by little. Right. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Like you have your goal, right? With your journal. It's there, está en la gaveta, just waiting for you to say, let me take out. Vamos a despolvarlo. And where did I leave? Oh, here. Okay, let's start. Or not let's start, let's continue, because you already started.
Exactly, I already started. Yeah, and I feel like kind of to recap that you said, when is it gonna stop? I feel like it's never gonna stop, right? We just have to go and like take it with us, right? Take our challenges, take our lessons and blessings, and just continue fighting, because that's what life is about, like fighting and pulling through and continue to grow. And every day is going to be a challenge, but then you just have to, like you said, get up and continue.
Yeah, and it's going to be about the attitude. Are you going to have a negative attitude or a positive attitude? I decided to have a positive attitude. And there are days that, trust me, my attitude might not be the best. And that's where, like, okay, snap out, sacúdete, you know. And however, it's your decision. At the end of the day, you decide if you're going to have a positive attitude or a negative attitude. You decide if you're going to take the action to pursue your goal. It's your decision.
Yes. So I also want to give you a chance to share, your services. I know you share a bit of your products and things that you have part of your brand, but like what services you offer, and also to give us a little recap of your podcasts that you have as well.
Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity, Catherine. As you mentioned, I have a podcast called Sacúdete y Toma Acción.
Yeah.
In there, I've shared a little bit about my story, experiences from that I've lived through, and then just this last few episodes we had was a series Encuentro con Líderes, where I had some interviews some leaders. And right now it's at a pause because we're doing our next season, preparing for our next season where we start a new series. So stay tuned for that for the podcast. But it's there, it's available in all different platforms, and I invite you to go, listen, check it out as well. That's my website. You will find information about my information about me, and also there you can look for Navegador and the las tarjetas de reflexión, right? The cards,
Mhm.
as well. Navegador is available in Amazon in both English and Spanish. It's there. Not, the tarjetas are only available through my website, the deck of cards. And I also do coaching as well, that mentoring through different programming. Every individual is so unique. So, right, I tailor it to the individual. And then we also, right, I'm also open to speaking engagements, right, as well as a speaker at different conferences, and then training sessions as well. I enjoy doing workshops and sharing, right, just simple strategies that individuals can just take on and apply it either to their professional or their personal lives.
Oh wow, thank you so much for sharing that. And so the coaching that you do one-on-one?
Yes, I do one-on-one, or we could also do a group coaching as well. So I do earlier this year, I had a program, which I'm by relaunching a little bit later, in terms of activating your potential. And we did some group coaching sessions with the individuals who register
Well,
for the
that's
sessions.
fun. That sounds like fun. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. And how about your social media? Where can people find you and follow you?
Yep. So thank you for that. You can find me in Facebook and LinkedIn as Anitza San Miguel, and then in Instagram, Anitza21 as well. Or you can always send me a private message or email me as well at anitza@anitzasanmiguel.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. And lastly, to conclude our amazing podcast episode, what is your superpower?
Oh, superpower. I would say, oh, I
You
can a
have
couple of
many.
things go.
You have many.
Yeah, well, when I met him, I'm trying to be, but I would say, because this has come recently in the last couple of weeks, it's light.
Mm,
And what I mean that is that being the light for others. I share that superpower of being light in the midst of whatever might be going on, and inspiring others to move forward, to sacudirse and they say, no, let me go for it, let me try it. And even if I fall, I know uh, I can, I'll get up and I'll keep moving. So I would say that the light. And recently, um, there's a couple of things that come to mind to represent that. So maybe more later at some other, maybe we can do another podcast on
yes,
when that time
definitely.
comes.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for being here. And that kind of segues, I feel like you're an amazing individual. I'm so blessed that we connected and we have so much, collaborations coming through. You're always welcome here and Gem and Me the podcast anytime you please. Just let me know. And in other, events as well. I do some virtual events as well. And if you're in New York anytime soon, I'm here too. We can
Yeah.
hang out and collaborate in any way. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. It's a blessing, and I feel like we really dissected, your journey and the blessings that you hold and share with those around you. So that's a blessing. Thank you.
No, and thank you for the opportunity, for trusting me, because I know we met right with
Years
I
ago,
think
yes.
this very briefly, but like you, right? I found that connection there. And when there's a purpose, it doesn't matter how you meet. Right? When God has a purpose for individuals, and He does for all of us, has a unique purpose, He just makes it possible for things to happen, and then it's up to us whether we follow through or not.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I'm so grateful that you're here listening to my podcast, Gem and Me. I hope that you continue to share, continue to listen on very important topics that I discuss in my growth and journey to what is called life. I hope that you're able to learn and explore different values and things that you have within you. I really hope to serve as a support system and a community to those who need that inspiration in that community, because I know that I needed this, I still do, but like growing up, I felt like I needed something where I can, see the examples and have a support system. So I hope to serve as such. Thank you for listening and have a great one.